Well, hi everybody. Rashid Karolia from the Bradford Safeguarding Board. I've been kind of working with children and young people for the last 30 odd years for Bradford Local Authority, and this year basically what I'm doing is working in safeguarding in mosques and what we call madrassahs. In prior to 2011, as you know, a lot of people that we had a dispatches program, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, and about abuse in madrassahs and also in faith establishments. And you know, for me to watch that, it was quite horrific. Coming from a Muslim background, Asian background, I would not tolerate that kind of abuse for any child. So basically out of that, what happened was that there was lots of consultation within the whole of Bradford district, Bradford and Keighley and so on. And we had a number of people from, a cross-section of people, should I say, from professionals, from parents and local establishments and so on. And we collated lots of information from those sessions. And yes, there were lots of fears and concerns for a lot of people. So this is the booklet, Children Do Matter, came out of those consultation. And at the back of it, you also have lots of recommendations in terms of, you know, do's and don'ts and so on. From this booklet, then we produced this booklet. It's a policies and procedures guidance and safeguarding children in Bradford madrassahs. It's a self-assessment toolkit. Now what you have to remember, that a lot of the religious people out there will not know the things like you and I know about safeguarding. So imagine, you know, a newborn child who needs to understand about child development, nurturing, you know, complex health, disability. All those things, they are not taught in the mosques. They were learning in the early days to become imams and so on. So basically, and also around safeguarding issues. So this toolkit is very simple in its writing, and it's not to disrespect anybody, but because what happens is it becomes jargonistic for a lot of people, and it goes over their heads and they don't understand. So what I tend to do is go into a madrassah, which I went to one last night, and a lot of my work is in the evenings and weekends, by the way, now, not 9 to 5. But I go through the whole system in terms of all the safeguarding. And then we have what you call a checklist at the back. Now in this checklist, like you and I, like I say, you would take it for granted. It's about having a safeguarding policy statement, a very clear one, so that children and parents can understand that they do have a safeguarding. Child protection policies, yeah. Again, it's about ensuring they have all these things. A named person. Now what I'm trying to encourage the madrassahs is to have like for like. What I mean for like is schools and the faith establishments. Because for me, as a social worker, if there was a problem at school, I would generally ring up the safeguarding person or the head teacher, you know, there's a named person. Whereas, you know, in my recent times, trying to contact somebody, it's like, well, so-and-so is a committee member. So I've changed their names to custodians, really, not committee members, but custodians, because they're looking after House of God and looking after for the community and so on. So what I've seen is that there's lots of training that is required by these imams and so on. So what I've gone out is reached out in terms of discussing with various professionals and trying to get in resources. So the likes, for example, road safety is a big issue. And in the city of Bradford, I don't know if anybody been there, it's like playing chicken. And you see these little mites darting around behind cars, and then you got some idiot racing up, and God help them, you know. And I do fear for their lives. And this is where we're trying to get to understand and work in partnership with parents too. We talked about working in partnership with parents. So I'm trying to encourage the imams and the parents to work in partnership and say, right, okay, like schools, you expect your child to go to the door, register them in, and you pick them up from the door, vis-a-vis. So these are the things. So at the present moment in time, what we're trying to do, like I say, establish this kind of training. Even the fire brigade are very keen. West Yorkshire ambulances are very keen at the moment. I've had a discussion with them. They want to do like 1 day first aid, 2 day paediatric and 3 day first aid course. They're willing to give that. And you know, the prices actually, they've lowered it so much, it's just absolutely unbelievable. Sorry, I'm also carrying on going on here, but let me also remind you, we have over 100 masjids or madrasahs within the whole of Bradford, right? And I believe there may be about 120 or 30 or 50, yeah? So because there's supply and demand, that's the thing. But also the other concern is house madrasahs, where people are actually, you know, opening up their houses, right? And they're actually saying, here we are. Now, not so long ago, Javelin House police station rang me up and said, Rashid, would you mind please coming along, because we don't fancy being, you know, barging into somebody's house and making it look like and blowing it all out of proportion. So we went in, it was a lady and her daughter teaching kids, and it was an allegation made by a child, so obviously there was an investigation going on. But I asked the lady, how many children do you teach? And this is about 30, and the room, probably half of this room here, not going any further than that. So my kind of alarm bells went up and I thought, hold on a minute, 30 children, where's your health and safety? You know? So all those sort of things come into equation, and this is where the fire brigade are very keen. This is where, you know, lots of other people are keen to establish some form of training for the imams and people who teach kids. And also, again, like I say, at the present moment in time, we're trying to create a cluster groups. Now, cluster groups is about schools, children's centres, family centres, and the local mosque to get together and discuss a Muslim child's life, you know, and remove the misconceptions and misunderstanding of that child's life. Because often enough, as you probably will know, that a Muslim child will go home after school, have a quick cup of tea and a biscuit, and out they go through the door and to the mosque. And you know, this is Monday to Friday for 2 hours, so that's 10 hours a week you're talking about. So by the time they come back from mosque, it's almost, what, 7 o'clock. And so what we're looking at is having some dinner, a little bit of play. Where's the homework? It's gone out of the window. So what we're trying to encourage with this partnership with the cluster groups is to say, right, schools can actually, one of the schools, what they're doing is on a weekend providing a teacher on a Saturday morning to a local mosque, and they can teach or do homework with them or teach whatever extracurricular they need to do. We're trying to encourage the imams to go into the mosques to do shadowing, to see how a school works. You know, I'm saying, and I'm explaining to the imams and saying, why does a child enjoy going to school and doesn't enjoy going to mosque? You know what I mean? And I think you need to have that fine balance where you need some quality time for these children. And it's not just about religious, but it's about how we manage it and how we balance it with even activities. So there's lots of new things happening. Yes, I'm having major issues with regards to the reformist, with the traditionalist. So we got the traditionals who are still holding on to the mosques, and you know, they want it their way and they won't have it any other way. But there's also the youngsters. And just last night I went to a local mosque in Bradford. It was music to my ear, the way it's been set out. It's almost like a school. And this is what I'm saying to all the imams, that this is what we need to establish, ensure that, you know, there's a road safety person, there's a fire marshal, there is, like I say, a first aid person, and so on. Because I've talked about, and one of the things that a lot of my imams don't know is about complex health and disability, and learning disability and so on. They're oblivious to it. What do you mean by that? So, you know, one imam thought having a CRB check was, you know, that's it. That's his permit to teach and so on. But I says, yeah, but with your role, you have other duties on a child. And this is where we're saying very clearly that, you know, they need to understand child development and nurturing. And unfortunately, those courses, yes, they are available for social workers and other professionals who work with children and vulnerable adults, but these people also, the imams also need them. So in terms of all the local madrasahs, like I said, my remit is at the moment to go out there, speak to them, give them this booklet. I'm there for them in terms of if they need to speak to me or if they need to come to a meeting or whatever, I'm willing to do that. So that's a situation at the present moment in time. But, you know, in terms of I'm also preaching to them that Islam is a religion of peace. Islam means peace, right? Allah's name has 99 names. The first 2 names is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, most merciful, most compassionate, right? The Prophet never advocated beating a child or abusing a child, right? His adopted son said that he never rebuked him in any way whatsoever. So the Muslims, and as a Muslim myself, you have to look at what the Prophet did and how the Prophet did things. Yeah, it's called the Sunnah. And we have to have that mercy, because as God says, we are the shepherds of our flock. And we, as we have to have mercy. And if we have mercy for our children, on the day of judgment, we'll have mercy. Yeah, put upon us too. So these are the things where I'm trying to reteach a lot of Islamic tutors, to say, look, we need to have the ethos and the values of Islam, because Islam is compatible to the child protection, to the human rights, to the Geneva Convention, and even the citizenship. Yeah? And this is what I'm saying very clearly, that you live in somebody else's country, yeah? You have, a duty of care towards your neighbour, towards your community, and towards the country that you live in, and you abide by those laws. So a lot of the concerns is that once I've spoken to people, they do, the defence barriers do come down and so on, but it's about, getting in there in the first place. That's the most important thing, because at the moment, as we said earlier on, a section of the community is being targeted. I feel, targeted. Yeah, I'm not guilty, but abuse, I always say, happens in every community, and it's our duty of care to ensure that we're vigilant and that we stamp out those abuses that happen in our communities, or the things that we are aware of. And this is where we're saying very clear to the imams and everybody else that they have a duty, because the mosque in the days of the Prophet was the hub of the community. It was a community centre. B, it was a place where people did activities. It was a library. It was a place where people prayed, and it was a place where dignitaries and presidents and prime ministers and kings and queens used to come. And that is what I'm saying to the imams, that we need to have that back, that value back, because often what happens is that, and what's been happening, is that culture has superseded religious views and ethos. And what I'm saying to them, we need to reverse that, because as far as I'm concerned, that in the eyes of God, we're all equal. When people go to Hajj, to the pilgrimage, you will see men and women together, in the same wide robes and so on. And it's about saying, that there is an equality, but yet each of us got different strengths, and we utilize that strength within our families and in our communities. And this is the main ethos of it. But like I say, it is, we do go around schools and family centres and children's centres, engaging with parents and saying, you have a role and responsibility too. Yeah, it's not just the imams, because imams turn around and say, it's like a babysitting service. They only pay $5 or $10 a week, because that's all it is. But I said it's about working in partnership, and you have to do this. Yeah, because like God said, the child is entrusted unto you. Yeah, it's a gift to you. Yeah, the child is not yours, right? In Islamic view, is that the child is a gift to you. So as a gift, we are supposed to look after that child properly. Yeah, with dignity and with care. And this is what I'm trying to profess across and say, look, this is our duty and this is what we must do. And I'm so glad that this project came along, because yes, it is something I'm passionate about, and something that I would like to start making changes within the mosque. There's lots of good practice, by the way, out there, there's lots of good practice. And what I've said to a lot of them imams, I'm here to just help and support you and tweak or complement the good work that you're already doing. That's all it is. Yeah, I'm not here to spy on you. That's not my job. I've said to a lot of imams, as far as I'm concerned, the work I do it for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's how I do it. So here endeth the lesson.